Hello students, we will see what is peptic ulcer and its pathophysiology. Okay, so talking about what is peptic ulcer. Now as the name it indicates, ulcer, that means what? These are the lesions, or this is the you can say open or the mucous membrane is getting injured. It opens up due to injury, okay, which is a protective membrane. That is nothing but ulcer. It is called as lesion or sores, SORES. Peptic indicates this injury to the mucous membrane or damage of the mucous membrane is in the area of the stomach, generally the antrum part, esophagus, and after that in the duodenum. So that is why the name has been given as peptic ulcer. What is the reason? Now we all know that digestive system is responsible for digestion of the food, and that is taking place with the help of gastric juices. This gastric juice contains acid, okay. They contain some enzymes which may prove, or due to its acidic or enzyme aggressive action, these lesions or these ulcers can be occurring. That is one of the common reason, okay. Apart from that, there are other reasons also due to which these ulcers are formed, that we will see further. Now when we are saying lesions, or when we are saying this mucous membrane is getting damaged, so how do you understand? When we do endoscopy, with the help of a camera, we try to find out this growing lesions. They can be measured in terms of centimeters. For example, generally they are 4 centimeters, 3 centimeters, okay. And generally this ulcers, they are very painful, okay. And many of the people, it is one of the common disorder of the digestive system. It is seen in many people. The reason, the cause for it are different in different people, but we will see here some of the major causes and what is a disbalance, what is the normal physiology, and how this disorder is prevailing or progressing, okay. So one of the common factor is aggressive or excessive action of the hydrochloric acid or the peptic juices which are acting on the digestive tract. So here in the diagram you can see, on the first diagram, in the first slide, you can see here there is a ulcerative condition in the duodenum. So you can see here the normal mucous membrane, here it is getting injured and there is a lesion developed. Whereas here you can see this is the gastric ulcer. You can see here it is in the lower part of the stomach. So this is how they appear when it is seen through certain equipments, okay. Now before going to understand, or before progressing towards this disease, how it is progressing, first we will try to understand what is a normal physiology, how normally the body is protecting itself from this aggressive factors. So students, remember, in our body there are two type of factors. One is a protective factor which is already there in all human bodies. What is that? The mucus secretion, mucus which contains water, which contains protein substances, and that is secreted by the mucus protective layer around the digestive tract. Second protective factor is bicarbonate production. Bicarbonate is an electrolyte which will neutralize the excess acid. Third factor is gastroprotective prostaglandin. So prostaglandin is also an autocoid which is produced by the body, which will protect our gastrointestinal surrounding environment. And one of the other important factor is microcirculation. What is microcirculation? That means the tissues around the GIT tract, they are surrounded by very small blood capillaries, which is bringing the nutrients and allowing that damaged area to repair. Okay. So, all these are protective factors. Along with this, there are some hostile or aggressive factors also, depending upon that person to person. Now, what is that aggressive factor? For example, gastric acid secretion in particular person, or the movement of the GIT tract in that particular person. Or one factor may be, suppose if that person is having some drinking or smoking habit, or if the person is taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs on a regular basis, or if the person is suffering from certain infection. So, what are this? These are dependent on person to person. Therefore, they are called as hostile. Host means that person, inside that person's body. Okay. So, here what happens? Normally, these protective factors, they are protecting the environment. But suppose if there is a disbalance between this protective factor and between this hostile factor, if the hostile factor increases as compared to protective factors, then there are the chances this peptic ulcer may occur. But exactly if you see, exactly this is the reason, specific, still we don't know. But it is accepted all over by the people, by the research people, by the scientists, कि peptic ulcer is developing due to various factors, not only just one factor. Okay. And due to these factors, whatever these factors we are saying, it can be any factor or it can be a combination of this factor. So, when these factors are becoming very aggressive, excessive, when they are overcoming protective factors, then the person may suffer from this peptic ulcer. Okay. So, this is what is a disbalance. Now, here see, if these two factors are in balance, your gastrointestinal tract is normal. But as soon as this balance is totally disturbed, then there are the chances of occurrence of peptic ulcer. Okay. So, one common reason what we have seen, why this is the normal physiology just now what we have seen. Now, we will move on to the developing of this disorder, pathogenesis or pathophysiology. Due to pathogenesis, how the physiology is affecting, function of the GIT tract overall it is affecting. So, one reason what we have seen, कि there is excessive production or secretion of the gastric acid, gastric juices, HCl. Apart from that, commonly many of the people which reported peptic ulcer, they were seen infected with this bacteria, Helicobacter pylori. And this bacteria is very powerful one. Okay. It is not directly damaging, it is step by step causing damage in the GIT tract. Okay. So, this is also one of the common cause seen in people for the occurrence of peptic ulcer. Okay. Now, we will see step by step what this bacteria is doing. Suppose if any ABC person got infected with this H. pylori or Helicobacter pylori, what it does first? First, it will evoke your immune system, that person's immune system. Okay. So, your helper T cells or your macrophages, what they will do? They will produce this pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are interleukin 1, interleukin 6, interleukin 8, tumor necrosis factor. Pro-inflammatory cytokines means what? What they will do? They will stimulate inflammation, they will promote inflammation, they will come to that area, GIT tract area, and they will cause inflammation. Okay. So, first thing they are doing. Second thing, this pylori bacteria, they are producing their own genetic products. They are having this polysaccharides, they are having protein material, they are secreting various enzymes. So, whatever their genetic product, that product is acting on the surrounding tissues and damaging. So, first what it did? It caused inflammation. Secondly, its genetic product is damaging the surrounding tissues. Okay. Thirdly, what it is doing? It is producing this enzyme which is called as urease. Now, this urease is considered to be one of the important virulent factor. What this urease is doing? This bacterial urease which the bacteria is producing, it is hydrolyzing the host, or it is catalyzing the urea which is produced in the human body and converting into ammonia, that is, it is a nitrogen product, right, carbon dioxide and ammonia. Now, due to this, what it is doing? Ammonia it is producing, right, that means alkaline in nature. So, due to this, it is neutralizing the surrounding acidic effect, and therefore it is able to grow there. Okay, see, generally we know why acid is present in the digestive juice, to kill the bacteria. But this bacteria is smart. What he is doing, what that bacteria is doing? It is having one enzyme, and that enzyme is acting on urea, which is converting this urea nitrogen product into ammonia. So, ammonia is a alkaline substance. So, when ammonia is released, it is neutralizing the surrounding acid. So, now the environment is very, very good for this bacteria to grow more. It is forming now more colony. Third thing it is doing. Okay. Secondly, if you see, this bacteria is also secreting this enzyme protease and phospholipase. That means what? They are breaking down the mucus protein, mucus phospholipid, and they are making your mucous membrane, protective membrane, very, very weak. Fourth thing they have done. Fifth thing what they are doing now? They are also not, now see, step by step they are causing injury to the entire GIT tract. So, whatever that bicarbonate production was there, which was a protective factor, that has also now reduced. Okay. So, overall they are by their aggressive action, they are decreasing the normal functioning of our GIT tract. Okay. Apart from this, they are also having this factor, fifth action, see what they are doing, bacterial platelet activating factor. So, what they are doing? They are activating platelet. That means what? They are trying to produce this clot in the blood capillaries. So, if the clot is produced, what will happen? The normal blood flow to the injured area, and already that bacteria has injured that area. That normal blood flow is also blocked by this bacteria. So, that area is now not able to recover. This sixth thing it had done. So, in this way, what the bacteria is trying to do, it has blocked all the ways by which the body can recover. And now, due to this action, the mucous membrane has become weak. The epithelial tissue or the cell layer, it has become weak. So, whatever we are eating food, whatever the nutrient we are taking, that is leaked out and out of that mucous membrane. So, the bacteria is getting free of nutrients and they are growing and growing. That is how the powerful this bacteria is. So, this is what is the structure of the bacteria, And if you see, these are the substances or the products which this helicobacteria is producing. You can see urease, lipopolysaccharides, exotoxins, secretory enzymes. Along with that, one more seventh factor this bacteria is having is its flagella. Now this flagella which it is having, this flagella, if you see, it is allowing the bacteria to move, and it is such a strong flagella that it is allowing that bacteria to stick to that wall for a longer period of time. It is sticked in such a way that you cannot remove that bacteria easily from that particular GIT tract. So, one more characteristic this bacteria is having. Okay. So, in this way, what the bacteria has done, it has blocked the entire protective mechanism in that person's body. And suppose if this is detected, and if the first thing what the doctor tried to do is they try to block the synthesis of urease. If this is blocked, major toxicity of the bacteria is reduced and the person can be brought back to the normal working. The GIT of that person can be brought to the normal working. So, stage by stage the bacteria is causing injury to that entire area where it has attacked or where it is growing. Okay. And whenever it is causing this ulcers or that damaging that mucus, they are generally painful. And remember, sometimes due to this injury to the mucous membrane, some small bleeding is also seen. So, all these factors of that bacteria lead to the overall damage of the GIT tract, and the lesions are seen in certain patch or in certain length. And our line of treatment, if we understand this, a line of treatment will be in that direction. So, second important or one of the common important reason what we have seen was Helicobacter pylori infection, and that is how this disease is progressing. Apart from that, if you see, these are some of the secondary reason. Secondary means less common. For example, if any person is suffering from hyperacidity, hypersecretion of acid, or if the person is on continuous medication of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So, what this drug does, they are not promoting the production of prostaglandin, which is a protective factor which protects our mucous membrane. Cigarette smoking habit will not allow the blood flow to come towards the mucous membrane, and so healing will not occur at a normal stage. Even those people who are having a habit of taking corticosteroids, they are also seen to develop this ulcer condition. Okay. So, these are some of the secondary factors. Secondary means other factors. But if you see many of the cases which are reported, the common reason seen was infection with Helicobacter pylori. And in the presence of that infection, these were some of the secondary reasons. Hyperacidity, excessive secretion of the acid, or that person is having alcohol drinking or smoking habit, or the person is continuously on certain medications which are acidic in nature, and that due to that the lesions have developed. Okay. So, in this way the disease is progressing. So, if this is the case or if this is the progress, then you can understand how it is affecting the normal digestion. the person is not able to eat normal food because there is pain in the stomach region, in the duodenum, depending upon where the ulcer is. So, the diet is affected, right. The person is not able to eat normal food, right, and due to that the appetite, there is loss of appetite. Even people suffer from regurgitation, that is the food will come to the whatever the food taken will come again back to the oral cavity. Vomiting, painful nights, sleepless nights. So, these are some of the signs and symptoms. So, as soon as we detect, the treatment should be started according to the symptoms. So, that is all about the pathophysiology. Thank you.